Welcome to Think About It. I'm Sylvia Henderson, your host, and I invite you to tune in, take what you see and hear, and, well, think about it. Today, I am excited about this program. A, because I really like the person who's my guest today. B, because if you're a leader in an organization and you have a business that you need to market, or you work for a company and you need to communicate both inside the organization and outside with clients, you want to stay on this program today because I have Robyn Hatcher, who is a communications expert. And you're going to hear, I'm going to read a couple of other tidbits before she shares with you who she is officially. But Robyn, welcome to Think About It.
Oh, now I'm scared. Thanks, Sylvia. Thanks so much for having me.
So I found on Robyn's website, so this is public knowledge, but to tease the viewers, you were in a TV commercial that you starred in for the New York Times. It ran for 8 years, and you were parodied on Saturday Night Live with Halle Berry playing you, man. I'm like, all right.
I know.
You average weightlifting, yoga, Zumba, and tap classes weekly. I'm like, that puts my walking 2 miles 3 times a week to shame. Uh, and let's see, there was one other one that I loved oh, yes, you once wrote for 2 daytime dramas, One Life to Live and
Yes.
All My Children. So, what we're going to talk about and the way we'll talk about it is almost the natural for you. I knew you were in the entertainment industry, but I didn't know about the soap operas. So this is cool.
Yeah. The soap operas really leads to a lot of what I do today. So it's very intersectionality there.
Oh, is that a real word? And so, how did you turn that experience? And by the way, for viewers, we're going to be talking about how we communicate with each other and the different ways we communicate. But more interesting than the Myers-Briggs assessment or some of the other assessments that those of us in business and organizations are used to, we're going to be talking about what Robyn calls actor types, but how we all have actor types. So how did you turn your actor entertainment world into a business and working with companies?
Yeah. Great question. Actor entertainment. I was an actor for many, many years here in New York City. And I would go on auditions regularly, commercials. And so what would happen at those auditions is you were always in a room with your same type, right? And because you were all out for one role. So I started realizing that, and people would always complain. It's like, oh, why didn't I get this role? Why didn't I get that role? And I would look at them and say, because you're not right. It's like, because it's a whole different thing. So anyway, you asked me about my business. So I was an actor for a long time. So one of the things that I wanted to do to supplement acting, because when you're an actor in New York City, you're not working all the time. You're just sort of working at working. And so one of the things that I started to do to supplement my income was to teach English as a second language. And so I taught at Baruch College, a city university here in New York. And I was teaching all these adults, and I was teaching people from all over the world, Japan, Korea, Russia, China, all kinds of people. And at one point, I really hated teaching grammar. And I thought, if I had to learn, because I had to learn the grammar to teach, I had to teach one more sentence structure or one more vocabulary, I was just going to shoot myself. And so I said, what can I do that is fun? So I thought, I was an actor, right? What if I taught them how to speak publicly? And it actually came out of the fact that one of my students would come in and say that, she'd go to a grocery store and she just didn't feel comfortable asking for what she wanted. Or somebody else would say, I'd go somewhere else and I didn't feel comfortable. And I realized that we were teaching them all this grammar and sentence structure, but we weren't really teaching them how to communicate. And so I wanted to teach people how to communicate in English. And so I asked the administration, I said, can I just start my own public speaking class? I'm not going to talk about grammar that much, only when it comes up. I'm not going to talk about vocabulary only when it comes up. And they said, fine, because I was a really popular teacher. So I said, okay, go for it. And I created this course called Speak Out. It was for my higher level students. And all I did was I had them do interviews, job interviews. I had them do um, speeches. I had them do debates. I had them do debates where I would bring in the entire program to watch the debate. And so that added that whole additional nervousness of it. And the students loved that course. And what I noticed is the more that they were put on the spot, the faster their English improved and the faster their confidence in speaking English improved. And so I felt like I was onto something. And so then Baruch said, why don't you create a course for our native speakers? And then a friend of mine said, why don't you go into business on your own? And voila.
And how many of us have started our businesses because somebody who had no idea what that meant said, you ought to do that for business.
Oh, Sylvia, you have no idea. We were sitting around. This is a friend of mine. He said, okay, let's think of names. And so
Yep. I think, okay, you guys had no clue, but but hey, I like you. I'm enjoying my own boss. So let's move into actor types. Now,
yeah.
if we're not actors or we don't think we are, what's an actor type?
Well, yeah. Well, Shakespeare said all the world's a stage and men and women only simple players or something like that. I'm butchering it. But actor types are the communication styles and types that you see on TV and movies all the time, because whenever you start and to be a screenwriter and like double back, went to screenwriting, and from screenwriting I went into writing for the soaps. But the whole thing that you're taught when you're writing a script or a screenplay is you want to think about the actors, the hero's journey. So the hero's journey is the backbone of all good screenplays. And that journey involves, and when you think about it, it's so related to mythology. So when I started to write my book on communication skills and presentation skills, I wanted something that actually married me and was relatable. And so archetypes, actor types, that's what they are. And like all of the archetypes that are out there, you will find in my actor types. Because when you think about writing for soaps, you've got the hero, you've got the villain, you've got the ingenue, you've got the curmudgeon, you've got the superhero. Like they all represent certain facets of the personality and styles. And they are all representative, and they're just naturally, we relate to those people because we are those people. So that's what I did. And that's how I created the actor types.
That sounds exciting to think less about, well, I'm the introvert and you're an extrovert and you're I don't know, you process things one way or the other. That's kind of so typical of a lot of these assessments that we take in
Right.
business. And to think more like, oh yeah, I'm an ingenue or a
Yeah.
hero or whatever that means. And we'll be, I'll be asking you, what in the world are those types? Um, how does actor types though differ from some of the other personality assessments that are so well known in the business
Yeah.
world?
Well, they definitely borrow. Yeah, there are definitely correlations between a specific actor type and say the disc type or the Myers-Briggs type. But what it is a more fun way, like you said, of looking at yourself. Like who wants to be a high D when you can be a superhero?
Oh,
It's like, it's a whole completely different feeling than being a super. And you can also envision it, because when I say superhero and then I say Gal Gadot in Wonder Woman, it's like, I know what that is. When I say a high D or an MP3T or whatever, it's like you got to like look it up and then you have to figure it out. And then it's like, what does that mean? But I love the fact that you can instantaneously personalize it, feel it. And because communication is all about emotion and feeling. So, how can you connect
mhm.
who it is that you are with the emotion and the feeling part of it?
Mm. Yes, we've heard, is it Maya Angelou said people
Yeah.
remember, won't remember what you said, but they'll remember how you made them feel or something like that.
Yeah, it's so weird how many I just heard that attributed to somebody completely different. I'm like, what?
I know, I may be.
But I've always heard Maya Angelou, and then I'm thinking, okay.
So and obviously we're going to get into what are they from a leadership perspective, though. How do we use our awareness of types for our own personal growth and our professional growth? I mean, you kind of answered that in a way
Mhm.
um, already, but if I'm putting a leadership hat on, what's something more specific to me leading other
Right.
people?
Well, as a leader, you need to know who you are specifically because that will show you where your strengths are and it will show you where your fatal flaws are or your weaknesses. Because why I call them fatal flaws, because for the actors with the hero's journey, when you think of the hero always has fatal flaws. Otherwise, the screenplay would go bust. Nobody would care about it. So you want to think about what your fatal flaws are, and knowing that as a leader is paramount. And knowing who your team is really, really super important because you need to know how to frame your communication so that it will get the most out of the people that are working for you, because there is not one way to teach, there's not one way to lead, there's not one way to do a particular job. And as a leader, if you know that you have a team that has one whiz kid in it, a hero, and maybe a buddy, you're going to need to take your messages in a whole different way. You're going to need to frame, say, your whiz kid is a person that's into data and information and all of that. You're going to need to frame your message so that the whiz kid will say, oh, okay, yes, I know exactly what to do now.
Hmm.
But if you're a leader who doesn't know that and they just speak in just all this grandiose, flowery language, the whiz kid is going to be looking at you like, I have no idea what to do.
Yeah.
And they're going to get totally stressed out because it causes so much more stress when they can't figure out what to do. You're not going to get your money's worth out of that worker because they're going to be spending so much of their work time at work trying to figure you out. So you're losing money, you're losing time, and you're not getting the job done.
As you're saying that, my mind goes to I watch NCIS, and I'm thinking of how, and several of these shows where the real the real solver of problem solver is like, I want the facts,
Right,
and
right.
usually it's the nerdy person that's going, well, I did this and I did this and I did, and the Gibbs just says, just tell me what.
Tell me what to.
Yeah. So, my gosh, okay, time flies. So, how many actor types are there?
There are 9 actor types.
Wow.
Yeah, there are
Okay.
9. There are 9. There are like the 4 primary and then 5 sub primary, because the 4 primary are the ones that you see the most often, and then the other 5 are the ones that are you can work with another type but are less prevalent.
So, I'm going to, as a teaser, since you're used to TV shows, um, since we only have a minute or so left of this portion, I'm going to wait until the second half to ask you go through the types and what they are. So before we
Yes.
break though, so how do organizations use this information when you come in and teach this material to them?
Yeah, I share with them what their actor type is. Then I have them go and look and assess their teams or their partners or other people, like what their types are. Then we'll talk about what the needs are for each type, what the triggers are for each type, and then how you can shape your communication so that it is more accessible to them. And like what I like to do is then people will say, okay, what do you like? Tell me what you like. Like you're a hero. Tell me how you like your communication. And everybody is in the room. Like this is what I can't stand. This is what I like. And so therefore they can get a better idea. It's like, okay, now I know when I talk to that person, this is what I need to do.
Cool. All
Yeah.
right. So we need to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to learn what these actor types are. So with that, we'll be right back.
I don't remember how it started. Our back and forth. Victory. Fumble. Repeat. It always came back.
Dad!
Okay, here we go, throw it!
Yeah.
You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
Nice.
Hello, welcome back to Think About It. I'm still Sylvia Henderson, your host, and we are still talking about communication skills using actor types. And my guest, still Robyn Hatcher. So welcome back.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yes, I know. I know, like we went anywhere. So when we took a break, I said we're going to get it as a teaser to viewers to now, what are these actor types? So I'm going to kind of hand you the stage.
All right.
Let you explain, as Lucy Ricardo used to say.
Okay, there are 9 of them. So I'll go over just who they are, and then we could dig into maybe 1 or 2. But so the top 4, like I said, the primary 4 are the hero, and they're like the charismatic, charming one. Then there is the whiz kid, who I already talked about, the data-driven one. Then we have the buddy, who is all about relationships and being liked and being like, that loyal puppy dog. And then we have the superhero. And the superhero is the one that is the really super take charge, loves to get things done, loves results, loves to fix problems, and is a huge problem solver, high energy, high motivation. Then the other 5, we have the ingenue, which is a French word for the innocent. And they are the people that are innocent, very optimistic, very positive, and sweet. And then we have the supermodel, which is very visually oriented, likes to look good, likes things to look good, likes things to be up to date. We have the curmudgeon, who's that, like sort of like the grumpy puss, it's like, that's a great word for the curmudgeon. It's like, whatever, it's like they have a really strong way of doing things. They have a strong opinion, but they don't care whether you agree with them. They don't care whether you like them. They don't care what they look like. So that's our curmudgeon. And then we have the comic, who, what they care about is getting a laugh, and what's going to be funny, and is this good? Can I make light of a situation? And then our 5th one is the villain, which is really fun. You have the villain, who is similar in the superhero. They're really tough. They have a dry wit. They're very, very focused. They're a little bit egotistical, and what they like is what they like. So they're very demanding. They do not have a strong sense of humor, but their wit is heavy. So sometimes when they think they're being funny, they're actually hurting people's feelings. So those are the 9 types. And nobody is one pure type. People have a propensity towards one, and that's what I call the one that they focus on, their primary. And then we have a default. We have the primary, which could be a hero primary, but we also have tendencies for the buddy. So you could be a hero buddy, or you could be a hero whiz kid, or you could be a hero supermodel. So you have all of those tendencies in there. And then some people have high of the 2, or somebody might have a 3rd one in there as well that is very strong. And then you have the ones that you are sort of opposite of. So like curmudgeon and superhero, they're kind of opposite. It would be really strange to have the 2 of them have things in common. And at the same time, it's also what happens is it's kind of hard for them to understand each other as well.
Okay. So is there a right type for a specific role or position? If I'm a manager of a group of, I don't know, technical people, should I be a certain type to be right for them? Or
Yeah.
do I just need to know how to relate to them based on what I am?
Yes, you need to be a Meryl Streep is what I call it. Because what happens is the best communicators are the ones that can morph or change or like know what is needed for every situation. So there are types that are more, more aligned with particular job titles, but there is no right or wrong type for a job, so that you can learn how to shift and learn how to pivot your communication so that you become that Meryl Streep. Like when you look at Meryl Streep, she has played a villain, she has played a buddy, she has played a whiz kid, she has played almost every type there is. And it depends on what script it is. So she's going to show up to the audition and she's going to bring out that part of her that is right for that role. And that's what we as communicators need to do too. So we need to know, if you're going to be a leader specifically, you need to be able to know how to shift your communication style or shift what you're asking for so that you can be the Meryl Streep of your industry and communicate with everyone that you need, because your client may be a completely different type. And so if you want to really align with your client and really persuade them, you may have to shift the way that you're talking to them. And it's just an aspect of yourself, like Meryl Streep is not like a bad person for playing all those parts, just like you're not a bad person for just adapting your style so that it goes down easier.
Do you find that people who are not able to adapt? I mean, again, so as we're talking actors, I'm thinking I'm a Star Trek fan.
Right.
So I think about Captain Kirk, and I've been following him for the last 50 years.
Right.
So I see him now, and William Shatner is William Shatner, whether he was Captain Kirk or now in Unexplained, whatever it is he's on. And, when he was the cop and a lawyer, he was still outrageous William Shatner. Do you find a William Shatner in organizations also who just don't change?
Yeah. And sometimes there's nothing wrong with that, because it's like branding, it's like typecasting. And that's where I started doing is like actors get typecast. A lot of times actors will complain because they've been typecast. It's like, after I did this role, I never got a good role again in my life, blah, 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 blah. And that can happen. But there are also actors like William Shatner, like some other people who have made a really good living just being that one type. So when I work with any individual, I always start off with their personal brand. And so you look at what their personal brand is, because that has a lot to do with their actor type and all the qualities that they have. And where is it coming from? Is it this natural personal brand? Is it connected to somebody? So if you have a really strong personal brand in one type and it's working for you, because that's my whole question, is it effective or is it not? If it's effective and working for you, then yes, use that personal brand. You still are going to need to be aware of the different types when you need to communicate with different types. But it doesn't mean that you always have to be the morpher. You don't always have to be Meryl Streep to be successful, because as you see, there's so many actors that are very successful playing their type, but it has to be effective. Just like with all these shock jocks out there right now, they were like having this type of being the villain shock jocker, and it worked for them for a while, but then you start saying stuff that is 100% offensive, and that doesn't work anymore. So you need to think as a brand, as an actor type, am I playing this to make me more effective, or do I need to go back and tweak something so that I can make myself more effective in the workplace? And that's what we need to, because I always have this whole thing about authentic versus effective. It's like, oh yeah, but that's who I am. I'm always going to be William Shatner. Yeah, but you know what? That role is $1 million role and it doesn't call for William Shatner. So either go change or go find another role.
Okay. Like I used to say to some people, and how's that working for you? Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
So how do I, there are some assessments, there are some things that are these complex multi-page assessments that you have to take. where does ActorType assessment fall in, and how do we learn our types?
Yes, I created a very simple assessment, and it's all about your communication style, and that's a place to start. And if you go to my website, robynhatcher.com, that's Robyn with a Y, hatcher.com, and go to resources, you'll see where it says take the quiz. And if you take the quiz, I think it's 9 questions.
Yeah, it was easy.
Fairly simple, fairly easy. What you'll get is a report that gives you the number of where all of your actor types fall in. Then you get the highest number is your actor type. And then what you want to look when you get that report is like, look how high some of the other numbers are. And that'll give you your secondary and your tertiary actor type. And then you could also look at that. Then what you'll get is you'll get sent a pamphlet that has in detail which all the types are, some of your actor type qualities and some of your fatal flaws. Not all of them, because I want you to buy the book.
Well, and that leads me to, so tell us about the book.
It's called Standing Ovation Presentations, and it goes in depth into all of the actor types. But what it also does is it's a primer for presentations. So it's like a nuts and bolts, black and white outline, everything you need to know about delivering an effective presentation. Okay. And using your actor type, how to make it shine. I even have little quotes from different movies. So that's what you want to do if you need to do a presentation. Know your actor type and know how to do it from nuts to bolts.
Do actor types come through in nonverbal communication? I know there's so much texting in the world today, and there's, TikToking and whatever else. I mean, so, does it come through in other ways?
Oh yeah. Your type, once you are a really pure type, or you're very much a type, it's going to come up in your emails. It's going to come up in your body language, because I even have little tips in the book and in the download about some physical characteristics that might show you whether someone's an actor type or not. One type or another. Yeah.
You need to make an addendum to that from here on up now, because that's the only way we can see anybody.
I know, but you can sort of even tell in people's backgrounds, like people, like you can spot a curmudgeon who's like, okay, here's my background. I don't care what the heck you're talking about. And with no apologies, And then you've got me, who's like got a little bit of supermodel in her, who's got to like have everything all right and perfect all the time.
So as we're coming to an end, this has been great. And to viewers, I have taken her assessment. I've been on a couple of one of her detailed sessions, and it's really, really great. So as we're coming to an end, how do people reach you? And maybe one last word for viewers.
Right. Thank you so much, Sylvia. It's been a pleasure. It's great getting to know you. So happy to be here. And people can just go to my website, robynhatcher.com, or reach out to me on LinkedIn. That's my favorite platform du jour. And LinkedIn is where I hang out. So reach out to me. I'll be happy to talk to you, help you to share anything that I have. There are a bunch of resources on my site in addition to the actor type, because I love talking about presentation skills. I love personal branding, and I love difficult conversations.
Awesome. I can't even wrap it up any better than that. So with that, thank you for sharing your time with us today, to viewers. And until next time, I invite you to tune in, take what you see and hear, and, well, think about it. And I invite you all to make a great day.